Sydney? Ready? Welcome to the Tuesday, February 5th Zoning Commission meeting. Madam Secretary, Ms. Leslie, welcome back.
Thank you, appreciate
Would you
it.
please call roll?
Martha Casabon. Here. Pug Lauren. Here. Todd Richard. Here. Bernie Willie. Here. Barry Baggert. Here. Jimmy Davis.
Here.
Patrick Fitzmaurice. Dave Doherty. Here. Kirk Drum. Ron Randolph. Here. We have.
Okay, thank you. Announcements. Please silence all phones and electronic devices. If you do not like the decisions of this commission, we have appeal cards in the front that you can appeal to the council. We also have speaker cards in case you want to speak about one of the cases tonight. And if you do, we have public speaking. We have 10 minutes for each side and 5 minutes for rebuttal for each side. The invocation will be done by Mr. Randolph tonight, and a pledge of allegiance by Commissioner Willie. Please stand.
Gracious Father, once again, in your name, we come to you, Lord, to say thank you for all the blessings you bestowed on our lives. We thank you for your grace and mercy that you've spread upon us each and every day, but more specifically this day. You watched over and protected us. We thank you for this commission. We thank you for those in the audience. We thank you for this entire parish and those that we serve, Lord. We ask a special blessing upon all of our parish government employees and our government as well. Look upon all of our military personnel and veterans and law enforcement officers, firefighters, and Lord, give them the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding they need to continue to lead us. And gracious Father, bless our families in a mighty way. In your Son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The commission, have they had a chance to look at the minutes from January 2nd? And then anyone would like to make a motion on those? Commissioner Richard.
Move to approve.
I have a motion to approve by Commissioner Richard. Commissioner Randolph.
Second.
I have a second to approve. Any more discussion? If not, please vote. We're having some slight technical difficulties. The minutes may turn into hours. Sorry. We didn't get the opportunity to see the vote.
Do it again.
There we go.
Passed. My mic's not on. It passed.
Okay, so the
Nine
approval
to-
of the minutes passed.
I'll vote yes, but it doesn't say. Okay, the record can reflect.
Yeah, just record that Mr. Baggert passed, and a motion to pass. Okay, staff, any postponements of cases?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we have one request, number 5, 2018-1303 ZC.
Okay. I think I'll go ahead and bring that one up first then. Let's talk about it. 2018-1303 ZC, existing zoning is Highway Commercial 3. Proposed zoning is MD3. It's 1.5 acres. The petitioner is Mark Higdon. The owner is Greenland LLC. Its location is on the south side of Pinnacle Parkway, east of LA Highway 21, north of I-12, Section 47, Township 7 South, Range 11 East, Ward 1, District 1, Council District 1. Is the petition, oh, yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Paul Maroon on behalf of the petitioner and the owner. Appeared before you in January and asked that the matter be tabled because there were some developments that may render the rezoning of the property unnecessary. We had hoped to have those issues resolved by this meeting, but unfortunately, they are not resolved. So rather than having this matter continue to come up before you, we would respectfully request that the matter be tabled indefinitely so that we have an opportunity to resolve these items. Once they're resolved, then we'll come back to you asking that the matter be placed on the agenda at that time, but we don't want the commission or the public to have to deal with the case in the interim while we're working on it. So we would request an indefinite table.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody in the audience would like to speak in favor of this postponement or against this postponement? If not, I'll bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Baggert.
Move to postpone indefinitely.
Commissioner Baggert makes a motion to postpone indefinitely. Commissioner Darty. I have a second by Commissioner Darty. Any more discussion? If not, please vote.
Passed.
Okay, the motion to postpone is passed indefinitely. Case number 5.
Excuse me, we couldn't see the vote results on the screen?
She's working on it. It was unanimous. Yes, it was unanimous. That's all, Helen, for as far as postponements?
Correct.
Okay, looking at the agenda tonight, I see we have several ordinances coming up. Case 1, Case 3, and Case 7. I'm gonna go ahead and move those to the end of our meeting tonight, so we can go ahead and get through these other zonings. So I'd like to go ahead and start now on case number 2, 2018-1265 ZC. The existing zoning is A4 single family. The proposed zoning is NC4. The acreage is .552. The petitioner is Daniel Spade, and the owner is Slidell Community Baptist Church, Michael Payton. Location is on the west side of US Highway 11, south of Ben Thomas Road, being 659 US Highway 11, Slidell, Section 34, Township 8 South, Range 14 East, Ward 9, District 14, and the council district is 14. Is the petitioner here, or?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, come on up, state your name and address, please. And the
My name is
reason,
Daniel Spade, and we're here for Community Baptist Church.
okay, and the reason for your rezoning request?
Right now, the church, the property there is zoned A4, and we're wanting to extend the building, which we can't extend the building under the ordinances that were, under the zoning that we have now. So originally, when we requested the land use review application, we said NC4. That's improper. I'd like to change that to a PF1. Reason being is because all that, the whole area in there is all A4. To the north of us is an engine repair shop. To the south of us is a storage building facility. Behind us is a residential. And so the reason why I would rather do a PF1 is because it makes the transition from residential to commercial a little softer. It's not such a hard transfer, I guess.
Okay, let's get the staff's comments on this
Okay.
one. Yes, staff, sorry,
We do not have any objections to the amended request.
to the amended PF1?
Correct.
And this is a religious,
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It's been there since August of 1995. We
Okay.
had no idea we were not commercial until we went to
Sure.
do some buildings.
Is there anybody in the audience who would like to speak in favor of this zoning request change?
No.
Or against it? If not, I'll bring it back to the commission. Now, this is to make a motion for a A4 change to a PF1. Commissioner Randolph.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chair, I'd like to vote in favor. I'm very familiar with this area, and I know where the church exactly is and what they're trying to do. And in that area, this would be a softer recommendation for that area. And I vote to approve. Yes, I vote yes.
So you makes a motion?
The amendment to a PF1.
Gotcha. So
PF1.
Commissioner Randolph makes a motion to approve the A4 to the amended PF1 proposed zoning. Do I have a second on that? Commissioner Casabon? I'll second. I have a second by Commissioner Casabon. Open up discussion. Commissioner Richard? Oh. Oh, we should-
Okay, go back.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I saw that. Commissioner Richard?
Thank you. I have no issues, obviously changing the zoning, it makes sense. However, can we amend the zoning to a PF from an NC4 without advertising it?
Yes, because it does not have any stronger uses or uses that are.
Okay, so PF1 is lesser intensity than NC4?
Basically, PF1 allows for government offices and religious institutions. That's pretty much the uses that would be allowed under that zoning, which NC4 allows a variety of retail uses.
I understand. I just want to make sure, since the petitioner is making an amendment, and I know we do from time to time do that, I just want to make sure it's not going to be in violation of any notice procedures. And if legals doesn't have an issue with it, I support it. Thank you.
Commissioner Darty?
Yes, sir. This is really for staff. Last year, we had a church on Allen Road, and that went to CBF 1. Between PF1 and CBF 1, which is really more appropriate?
The PF1 is definitely more appropriate because it does not have any stipulations regarding the setbacks. The CB1 requires a larger setback.
Okay, all right. And you don't have a lot of room to set back on that.
No, that's correct.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else would like to speak on this matter? If not, I believe I have a motion to approve by Commissioner Randolph from A4 to the amended proposed zoning of PF1 and seconded by Ms. Casabon. If any more discussion, no more discussion, please vote. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sir, can you please fill out a speaker card for us?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Okay, let's go to case number 4. Case number 4 is 2018-1232 ZC. The existing zoning is A1 Suburban District. Proposed zoning is I2 Industrial District with a rural overlay. It's 5.049 acres. The petitioner and owner is Michael and Kim P. Fisher, and the location is on the east side of US Highway 190, north of LA Highway 433, south of Apple Pie Ridge Road, Section 33, Township 9 South, Range 15 East, Ward 8, District 13, and Council District 13. Staff, your comments?
This zoning change request was in front of you in December as well as in January, and we had to re-advertise because the petitioner wanted to add the rural overlay to the request. At this time, the recommendation remains the same in regards to the I2 industrial zoning designation as to the staff recommends denied. However, staff has no objection to the request for the rural overlay.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. How
Your
are you?
name and address.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Your name and address, please.
My name is Mike Fisher, 33 Treasure Isle, Slidell, Louisiana, and I am the owner of the property in question. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I have some pictures here that would try to help alleviate some questions or some things that may be in, may have some questions that y'all may have. As it says on the paperwork that says staff recommendations, staff comments, the last paragraph from the original paperwork that was submitted by the parish. It says request considering that the site is surrounded by undeveloped land zoned A1 on the north, south, and east sides. I would like to comment on that. And in doing so, I have some pictures that I would like to show you, which I sent to Ms. Lambert, either all of them or most of them last week, and she is aware of them. I don't know if y'all can see this, or would y'all prefer me to bring it closer to y'all, or do y'all want to get up and take a look, or? All
We
right.
can see it.
Can I come close?
We got a Google map.
What y'all want me to do?
That's fine.
Okay. This is a zoning map that's parish, was supplied in the packet that shows Highway 90, starting from the Regular's Bridge, going all the way to the Mississippi line. And as you can see, that all of this yellow here is the A1 Suburban that is at its zone presently. Also, this is another satellite picture that was supplied that shows the same area, but it's closer, whereas this is my property here, and it shows some other sites that I'm going to cite in a second. And also, this is my property that I own here, fee simple property that I personally own, in addition to the property I'm trying to get rezoned presently. Right now, we're just trying, that one piece of property is all that I want to get rezoned. As you can see, that I have my property right here, which is the property in question, this little 5-acre site. And number one, which is the property immediately adjoining my property, is this property here. And you can see that it's basically a shipyard in operation right now. Property adjoining my property right here. Property right here. Number two is basically across Highway 90 from my property. And that property, that picture, if y'all can see, has numerous heavy equipment. It's a yard full of heavy equipment, from front-end loaders, backhoes, and you could look for yourself and see they may have dump trucks, etc. Number three, which is up Highway 90 a piece right here, about half a mile up to going towards Mississippi, which is at the corner of 190 and Highway 90, is this property, which is, they run a commercial operation as well as mini storage rentals. So as you can see, and no disrespect to anybody, but you can see that being that this is all swamp zone residential is somewhat of a misleading somewhat. I'm not, no disrespect to Ms. Lambert or anything, but as she noted in there, that surrounding the property is residential, that for 99% of everything there is swamp. And there is only 2 pieces of commercial property on the whole section from the Regular's Bridge all the way to Highway 90, basically, which is it's zoned purple. And if you look on and I'm right in the middle, zoned industrial. So when I made the request a couple months back for the original, I was just going along with the original property was. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is a major U.S. road. It's It's not in a neighborhood, there's no encroachment, no neighbors that's gonna be disturbed. I don't think there's anybody that lives, I think the closest resident of my property would be down Apple Pie Ridge. Probably right there, you'll see. That's probably within 3/8 to a half a mile away. And I took a ride around the entire parish recently, and I've been riding around the parish, Washington Parish, my whole life. And y'all probably know as well as everywhere there is a corner, this is a commercial location. Hackley, I was in Hackley, a little bitty place out in the middle of the woods, right where a little corner road is, a little state road coming in from Wiggins, Mississippi, and State Road, little grocery store there, a business. Up Lee Road, I'm up in North and Covington, the notorious Four Corners of Lee Road. That was completely surrounded years ago by rural property, and it was 4 little businesses on a corner. On the corner of 190 right here, and Highway 90, a half a mile from my property, where 2 major state roads meet, Highway 190 and 90, commercial. I'm asking for right here where Apple Pie Ridge meets Highway 90. Basically, I'm asking for nothing more or nothing less than is basically which is an accepted thing no matter where you ride around the parish. And this is a rural part of the parish, and you'll see that on every major corner, may not have another business, may be all rural, or these zonings, A1, may be all zone A1, but it's one little piece of commercial property. I pray that y'all give me an opportunity to realize that, and maybe I can help out the community by offering some things with a business that I would like to open, to keep it in harmony with the 25 planning process of being in harmony with the nature. And I myself do hunt in that area. I rent 200 acres from here all the way down to Salt Bayou Road from the Las Conchas, which is the Gohagan property. So I don't want to see that property to fall in any type of highly commercialized district. I don't want it to go any more than what it is. Basically, is any more than what she's saying that the future of that area is trying to achieve. So based on these pictures, what I'm trying to show, and I don't think that it would be any type of effect that would be detriment to anybody or anything or any government agency or what have you. I pray that y'all give me an opportunity to change it as I've requested. And if for some reason the original purple zoning, which is, I can't remember which letter, light industrial, what was that, Ms. Helen, I1, I2?
Currently, you're requesting I-2.
I2. If for some reason y'all would have a lot of objection to the industrial, even though they are there, in these 2 properties basically are welcome to the site. And you have an alligator, a swamp tour here with the little mini storages. This piece of property here is owned by the Gohagan property. It's just a slip that they from time to time rent out to help some people out in the swamp. And mine would be on the other piece of the major intersection of the other road. And basically, that's all I have to say.
Okay.
Would y'all like to take a look at this up close?
I don't believe that's necessary, Mr. Fisher,
Oh,
unless
Okay.
one of the other councilmen, you can just leave it up there. Let me ask you a question before I bring it up to the audience too. Why do you need I-2?
well, at first, I I don't want to do anything to where I'm going to get called out to being doing something illegal. So, as I said the last time, I have a welding machine, and I have a lathe, and I have a little milling machine.
Okay.
And from time to time, I'm in my retirement, I play with race cars, and
Okay.
I will build a piece of equipment sometimes. I have a friend of mine, and we build my drag race cars and stuff like that, and we may sell one. I'm not gonna build a refinery. If I did, parts as big as this, as big as this timer. I
Okay,
have a drag
I
store,
recall
things like
this from
that, and that's about it.
Yeah, I recall this from last time when you were up here talking about why you
Yeah,
thought you
and
needed. I just want to make
that's
sure
the-
I
That's the
understand.
extent. I have no, I'm
Okay.
64 years old and retired from 2 jobs.
All right, sir.
Retired from Murphyville and retired from St. Bernard Parish Sheriff's Office. I put 36 years in between the both of them, and
Okay,
I'm through.
all right. Let me see if anybody in the audience is there anybody in the audience in favor of the zoning request change? In favor? Come on up and state your name and address, please.
Hi, I'm Brian Trosclair. My address is 818 Amber Court, Slidell, Louisiana. I'm very familiar with the area that Mr. Mike's talking about. There is very few residential places in that area. Most of the places in that area are commercial. He already talked about one swamp tour down the road. If you go just a half mile down the road that same way, there's a huge swamp tour company. You go 2 miles down the road the other way, there's a big marina. Right there on Apple Pie Ridge Road, there's another small business that's a paintball business. And I think they're all great things for the community. They bring jobs to the community. They also bring money into the community. So, he's not looking to do much. He just wants to make sure everything he's doing there is legal. So, I'm for the rezoning.
Thank you. Is there anybody in the audience against this rezoning? If not, I'll bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Baggert.
Michael? Mike's on. Yeah, I'm probably more familiar with this property than anybody else. I'm there 3 days a week up and down the road. That's why I hunt. And I'm very familiar with it. And I kind of agree with Mr. Fisher. I think everything from Apple Pie Ridge to Gohagen Canal should stay suburban and rural. But that area where he is, there's a boatyard next to it, there's a swamp to it, there's another swamp to it, there's storage sheds. And if you go the other way to Gohagen Canal, there's some type of I don't know, that look like oil type service business. And then you go a little further, there's a big marina with storage sheds and everything. So for him to do what he wants to do, he needs the industrial, right? I'm asking Helen.
According to what he describes, he's trying to fabricate parts.
He needs industrial.
He would need industrial.
Okay. I would like to move to approve the A1 Suburban District and the A2 Industrial District. The A2 Industrial District and the rural overlay. I2. Did I say A2? I2. I'm sorry.
Okay, so you're making a motion to approve the A1 to I2 with the rural overlay.
Yes.
Okay, can I have a second on that, or Commissioner Randolph? Nope. Do we have a second on that?
Second.
Who said second? Commissioner Randolph said second. Okay. Is there any more discussion on the floor about this matter? Just a little point about this. I know this area extremely well, as well as Mr. Baggert. I fish out there at 190 and 90 all the time. And I know exactly where your location is and all those things on the side. So I'm going to have to agree with Commissioner Baggert. I think it is appropriate. Is there any more discussion? If not, please vote. This is to approve the A1 to I2 Industrial District and a rural overlay. Please vote. Yeah, everybody voted, right? Motion passed. Thank you. Okay, we postponed case 5. Let's go directly to case 6. Sure. 2018-1306 ZC, existing zoning is A4A. The proposed zoning is A4A with a manufactured housing overlay. It's 6,256 square feet. The petitioner and owner is Reina and Antonio Delaca, and the parcel is located on the east side of Berman Avenue, north of Coast Boulevard, being lots 9 and 10, Central Park, Section 23, Township 9 South, Range 14 East, Ward 8, District 12, Council District 12. Staff?
Staff doesn't have any objections to the request, considering that the site is abutting residential uses and existing manufactured homes on the south and west sides. And at this time, staff would like to recommend approval of the request.
Okay. Is the petitioner here? Would like to speak? Would you like to come up and speak? Your name and address, please.
Thank you, sir. Good evening. My name is Reina Delarca, and for the address 56684 Berman Avenue, in Slidell. And we just want to do the, proposing the A48 single family residential to MHO manufactured houses overlay.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And we're just planning to move another mobile home in there. It's the same area. It's been mobile homes all the time for the
Right.
property, what I used to have before.
Okay.
Yeah, we just took the old one in there, and I left it like that, and now we want to put another one.
Right. And you
Thank
have
you.
to go ahead and get the overlay on there first.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is
Thank you.
anybody in the audience wants to speak in favor of this zoning change? Against this zoning change? If not, I bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Darty.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm gonna make a motion to, I guess the mic's on, it's flashing back and forth, so, but, I'm gonna make a motion to approve. And also, for some reason, my votes are not being recorded on the screen whenever it comes up, or even here, so, the last couple of 3, I voted in favor of.
You voted in favor for the last 3 cases? Okay.
Right.
I have a motion to approve by Commissioner Darty. Commissioner Randolph.
Second?
I have a second by Commissioner Randolph. Any more discussion on this case? If not, please vote. There we go.
Motion has passed.
Motion
Or
passed.
approved.
Thank you. Okay, let's go to case number 8 next. It's ZC 0801. Did everybody voted yes? That's correct.
Yeah, Mr. Doherty, it's showing up on our screen on here as a yes, that you have voted.
Yeah. So it's showing up on this screen, Dave.
That's the important one, I guess.
All right. All right, case number 8, ZC 0801007. This is a major amendment to the PUD, a Planned Unit Development Overlay, to add directional sign regulations. Acreage is 92.61 acres. The petitioner is Gulf State Services, Mike Saucier. Owners are Lucky 7 Trust, Versailles Business Park, LLC, Versailles Land and Development Company, LLC, TDG North Shore, LLC, Thermal Covington, LLC, Holiday Ventures, LLC. There's a lot of LLCs. Location, parcel located on the north side of I-12, west of Holiday Square Boulevard, south of Versailles subdivision, section 15 and 16, township 7 south, range 11 east, ward 3, district 3. Staff, comments?
The petitioner is requesting a major amendment to the PUD to allow for an internally illuminated directional signs within the development. At this time, the parish sign regulation does not allow for off-premises directional signs, and this is a request to allow such sign within that PUD in particular. As you can see, there's a drawing attached to show you what it would look like, and staff does not have any objection to the request.
Okay. Yes, sir, and your name?
Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Soche, Gulf States Real Estate. I'm also a partner in Versailles Business Park LLC. Address is 109 New Camellia Boulevard, Suite 100, Covington, Louisiana 70433. I'm sure y'all remember we were here a couple of years ago getting the Versailles Business Park approved. Global Star is building a new corporate office in there right now, and I'm happy to say we'll be opening in about a month. and employing hundreds of people at the new facility. If you have a chance to go by and look at it, you really need to look at it. It's probably the most state-of-the-art office building now in St. Tammany Parish. The Collins apartment complex, which is the big house concept that we also had approved on 24 acres, is also under construction and will be opening sometime in June of this year. This directional sign that we proposed within the PUD is very similar to signs you see at North Park, that you see at River Chase. When you go to River Chase and it has directional signs when we go to the movie. The Versailles Business Park has a wide range of available uses. It is primarily an office park, but obviously we have the multifamily component, and we are allowed to do some retail and loft apartments and other things in these office complexes, very similar to other communities like Atlanta and Houston. So at the request of primarily the Collins Group, which is located down this road here, sort of behind the Homewood Suites, they obviously, when people come up in front of Honda Covington, they have a directional sign to turn left to go to the Collins. We've also shown other users, potential other users on that sign, because there are two other lots that front that street that is going to be dedicated to the parish here very shortly that provides public access to the Collins apartments. So this is the first of sign that we propose in the park, again, you know, it is a very attractive sign, and is not very large, but it is to provide primarily directional traffic. You'll see that there's a Versailles logo, and that logo is our brand, and it will be continued on any other media or signage that we propose for the project. The project is also is a very, as I mentioned, very diverse from uses, and is very fluid. We are in discussions right now with a multitude of different users, some institutional, and it was very difficult for us to try and sit down initially. We planned a lot of things in the initial PUD, but we left signage out because we feel our users should have some input into what we do there, and we will likely be back with something else that'll be equally tasteful and useful. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody in the audience who would like to speak in favor of this or against this? If not, I'll bring it back to the commission for Commissioner Doherty.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Soche, Ms. Lambert indicated that right now, according to the ordinance, if I understood you right, it's there. These are not allowed, but we're going to make an exception for this one sign. But I see on your drawing, there's a potential of a second sign.
These locations 1 and 2 we will put this sign at either one of those, but not both.
Okay.
We will have to get with Public Works. I think that comment's made in the staff comments too, to make sure that we are outside any utility. We're not impacting any utilities. We have parish water and sewer in that area, but we also have private utilities. This development is all underground utilities. So but we will not have 2. We will have 1, and you can certainly place that in your motion to approve that it will be 1 of these signs locations.
Okay. Is there any? And I believe if I understood you right, as this develops, you're going to want some additional signage for directional.
Well, likely there may be some, but that depends. We have access, as you know, or you may know, to Holiday Boulevard. You have a tremendous amount of work being done on Highway 190 now. Holiday Boulevard you will not be able to turn left or right at Holiday Boulevard. That intersection is going away. So the access to this particular area is going to be somewhat convoluted. So we may come back and propose this sign at our other location, but the sign would need to be user-driven. This sign is user-driven. It was a request of the Collins and the other lot owners that front on this short 600-foot street to do this. I wish we could come here with a comprehensive sign program, but we, as I've stated earlier, we want to see how the project unfolds, what the uses are. We don't want to build signs that aren't needed, or people in the park don't feel that they're justified.
Okay, thank you. I'll go ahead and put a motion on the floor to approve as staff has indicated.
For one sign.
One sign.
For one sign. I have a motion to approve the sign addition for one. Commissioner Richard.
This is a reasonable request, and I second the motion.
I have a second by Commissioner Richard. Any more discussion? If not, please vote.
Motion is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, now we're going to go back to the ordinances. Let's start on case number 1. That's 2017-845-ZC. Staff, do you want to read this, or should I? I'll read it for you. An ordinance amending the text of Chapter 130 St. Tammany Parish Unified Development Code to add definitions for reception venue small, reception venue medium, reception venue large, and to amend the definition of restaurant and restaurant without lounge in Section 130.5 definitions, add the new uses of reception venue small to Section 130-792, reception venue medium to Section 138.97, reception venue large to Section 130-918, amend Section 130-2163, minimum parking requirements, and add to Section 130-2213, minimum standards for reception venues. Any additional comments?
As requested last time, I striked out the NC as it was requested by the commission. I did not completely remove it, but I striked it out for your eyes to be able to review the ordinance without the NC, but it's still in your hands to review and make a motion if you would like to move on it.
Okay, thank you. And as you can see in the package tonight, there are some lines that were erased from some of our suggestions that we made, I think, several months ago. Anybody in the audience would like to speak in favor of this ordinance or against this ordinance? Please come up. Yes, sir. And please give us your opinion and your name and address.
Good evening. I'm Lee Domingue. I live at 34057 Bayou Liberty Road in Slidell, 70460. I'm here to address the reception venue ordinance. This body has heard about this particular ordinance multiple times in the past. Previously, as was pointed out by Planning and Development, we had NC5, which was regulated to a small venue reception. That has, by your own recommendation, been removed. Unfortunately, from my reading tonight, it appears as though the small venue reception now has been reinserted and applicable to restaurants with bars or lounges and those restaurants without lounges. Once again, that's my interpretation right now. I may be mistaken. The first I saw this was tonight. In any case, what that effectively does is it allows restaurants which, for example, in NC5, restaurants with lounges greater than 5,000 square feet would therefore be permitted to have small receptions, just as though we were inserting the same wording in the original NC5 zoning district. I'm not sure why we're doing this, because it really makes little sense to me, because restaurants already are allowed to have various receptions. They're allowed to have meetings, they're allowed to have luncheons, they have buffets, they have fundraisers, and we can go on and on. The point is this, and I have two other comments to make about my concerns regarding this particular ordinance. In HC1 and HC2, as you well know, they're now recommending medium-sized reception venues in HC1, and HC2 would be the large size, which is greater than 500. The point in fact is this: HC1 in the current code allows both private and public auditoriums. Now, we all may have a different concept of what an auditorium is. It may be anything from fixed seating with a stage allowing musical entertainment or plays, or it may be an open room like we often see in high school gymnasiums, which are called auditoriums, or the Civic Center in Slidell, which is an auditorium, and even the one in Slidell on Main Street. The point is this: these types of auditoriums can house hundreds, even thousands of people and be allowed to hold receptions. And we all know about various fundraisers for politicians, sometimes going into 2,000 guests or above. My question is this: if we go forward with this reception venue as it's currently stated, then those auditoriums, and I don't even know if any exist in unincorporated St. Tammany Parish, but if an auditorium exists, then if this particular proposal becomes law, then those auditoriums in HC1 in unincorporated St. Tammany will no longer be able to have guests or patrons beyond 500 guests, I think. I think that's what we're suggesting here, but I could be wrong about that.
Mr. Chair? Yes.
Can I have a moment of the floor?
Sure.
You're absolutely correct.
Sure.
Because we're going to spend a lot of time discussing this. My microphone is on. You're absolutely correct. We found, we had a small working group. This ordinance was presented to us. We've worked through it. We've solved some problems and see a lot more that's being created. I don't want to cut you short. You're more than welcome to continue talking, but we're going to make a recommendation this evening to table this indefinitely, okay? And at such time, for it to be brought up before this body to continue discussion, we would have to come back to the public, reintroduce it. So feel free to continue talking, but we agree with you. There's a lot of issues with this.
Mr. Richard, I have no further comments. Thank you for your statement.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience would like to speak? Mr. Hernandez.
Well, since you're going to do what I was going to recommend that you do, there's no more comments that need to be made. Thank you.
Thank you. With that being said, I'm going to bring it back to Commissioner Richard so he can possibly make a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, we're working through this. We see as many problems as we do solutions. And at this point in time, the recommendation I'd like to make is that we table this particular piece of legislation indefinitely.
I have a motion to table indefinitely. Commissioner Lauren.
Thank you. When we were in the little working group that we had, there's concerns for the big groups, and I personally have some concerns about the way it's worded for the small groups. If you read the way it's currently worded, and I'm reading it literally the way it's written, the verbiage says that it applies to a group. The medium venue would be fewer than 500 people.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Lauren. Do we have a second yet to discuss this?
Yeah, I second it.
Oh,
but
okay. Thank you.
But fewer than 500 could be 10, right? If you wanted to take your wife and 8 other friends over to one of the restaurants that we have in the parish and have an anniversary party, that could, the way it's written, that could be considered a medium venue. And if it does, you got to have 2 deputy sheriffs there. That would be kind of crowded, don't you think? So what I'm saying is we concur with your comments, not only for the big groups, but for the small groups. And the small groups might be the Kiwanis Club, the Red Hat Ladies, the Republican Women's Club. you know, you name it. It could be a bunch of them. So that's the reason why when we got together, the way it's worded now, it's better than it was when we started, but we got a lot of work to do on this one before we get to a vote. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a motion by Commissioner Richard to postpone indefinitely, and a second by Commissioner Lauren on another point of this matter, since we're still in discussion and haven't voted yet. The task group that we're talking about is Commissioner Doherty, Commissioner Lauren, Richard, and myself. Yes, we have met 3 or 4 different times just to talk about this thing. And right now, looking at the ordinance, it's so convoluted, the way it's expressed now. So we're going to try to work hard on this and get something done, and then we'll bring it back up to the public and to the council. With that being said, we can vote. And this is a motion to postpone indefinitely.
Motion, motion is approved.
Motion approved. Thank you. Okay, the next ordinance. It's 2018-1134 ZC. It's a text change ordinance, the St. Tammany Parish Unified Development Code 130-55 notice requirements to include additional butter notice provisions. Staff, any other additional comments about that? I see some changes made.
Pulling double duty today.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I know Mr. Toledano's here to speak on it, and perhaps I'll let him get started, but we had some discussions, if you remember, this came the first time. We had some serious concerns with the proposal as it came to us, and we have worked out a better situation. Have a few concerns that I've expressed to Mr. Toledano. Let him speak, and then I want to give you a demonstration of what's involved in actually accomplishing the task outlined in the ordinance.
Okay. Commissioner Toledano.
Mr. Davis, thank you very much for your record, Toledano. Pleased to be here. Glad to see my friend, Mr. Baggett, back in the saddle up there. And in answer to Mr. Pug's question, I think it would depend upon who your wife or husband is in terms of whether you need a police escort to attend that party. But I come before you with a journey that began about 5 months ago, certainly before Mr. Baggett took the floor. And for those of you who are new to that extent or would rather forget all the stuff you had to handle 5 months ago, our mission and our message is this. Too many times we are confronted by people in this audience, good, honest people who said, for whatever reason, I had no idea this was coming before me. This has happened multiple times. When I used to sit in Mr. Shane's position representing people here, I had people tell me I didn't know about it. You've seen it. We see it at the council level. So, I had a lot of those same messages delivered to me while I was campaigning. So I set about to do some research on my own first before I visited with Sydney to see what other jurisdictions do. And I went inside Louisiana and outside Louisiana. And I found poor English, found several model ordinances that I call abutment ordinances. And the pure intent of those ordinances is to give everybody due notice and create a fair and even playing ground for people who might not see that sign, which sometimes does get blown down. And lo and behold, sometimes people take the doggone signs down. So I put those together, and then I met with Mr. Hand, who was the legal party that would be responsible for helping us to draft something, and we put that ordinance together. And we presented that initially, as Sydney said, and distributed to other people and got their feedback, and we got some good feedback. We got some excellent feedback from Sydney. And basically, what this ordinance does is it will eliminate that as an issue, I'd say, for the most part. And it ties in part to the system that our assessor has begun with regard to property assessments. As of right now, just for informational purposes, we have about 135 parcels of property in St. Tammany Parish. Already, they have completed 95,000 of those, and the numbers increase every day. In certain sections, like south of I-12, they've done them all. And on Sydney's good suggestions, we wanted to try to do it in a way that would be most practical. So the ordinance, as I'm sure you've read, provides not only for written notice to those parties who are within 300 feet, but it also provides a mechanism whereby notices will be posted within 100 feet via door hangers. I dare say that this is going to make a lot of people in our parish happy, and I believe it will make our job easier, and quite frankly, at times it will make your job easier. I believe it's fair. It certainly fills the void, fills the policy of transparency, because it would be hard for anybody to say, gee whiz, I never knew that would happen. Because as you know, if I live within 100 feet and I get that notice, if I had no other notice in the world, sure as heck, I'm going to tell my neighbor who's going to tell his neighbor. So in that view, it's simplistic. Now, does it involve a little more work? It sure does. Should we do that work? I think in the interest of the public, in the interest of affecting property rights and uses in our community, I think we should. Is it workable? I believe it's absolutely workable, because it works in many other jurisdictions. And Lord only knows, our planning and zoning staff, our people that work in this community are probably a lot better and a lot more skilled than what you see in some other parishes. There are many of us on the council who favor this. I'm here to answer any questions, but I'm asking you and imploring you in a respectful fashion to please give us the go. Let me take this to my brothers and sisters at the council level, and I think we can get it working. Like anything, there'll be some things to iron out. These changes that are before you today, in the underline and highlighted, were good changes suggested by Sidney and his staff, and I've adopted those wholeheartedly and do support them. So any questions you have, I'm happy to deal with them.
Thank you, Councilman Toledano. Is there anybody else in favor of this ordinance and the changes? Anybody against it? If not, I'll bring it back to the commission so we can discuss. Commissioner Baggert.
Yeah, my only suggestion is, could we make it, make the petitioner send the letters within the 300 feet, rather than to put the burden on the,
Yeah, that's a good question. And the first draft we did, we had it exactly that way, Mr. Baggett. But Sidney and I talked about this, somewhat of a debate at first, but at the end of the day, he won me over to his position, and I'll yield to him because I yielded to him on that change.
I wouldn't think he would have wanted it that way.
Well, you know, I did too, but he makes good sense, and so.
If I may, I'm
voting for him in that.
If I may, I'll quickly go through what we've done, what that issue, and what, still our concern is. And I've talked to Mr. Toledano about that, and he kind of touched on it in his presentation.
Sidney, you have the floor.
Thank you, appreciate it. Relative to Mr. Baggert's question, I really believe, because of what I'm about to show you, the assessor has available, and it's the numbers that Mr. Toledano mentioned, I don't deny. Last time I really looked at it and analyzed it, they had about 70% of the properties in the parish, parcels, about 60% of the area, because it's the hard to do large stuff that they don't have yet on their GIS system. But I can show you what that system does, and we can make labels very quickly. It will be faster for us to make the labels and stuff the envelopes than track developers track whether or not they have done it, try and follow up on that. We can handle it better. And it's actually something that we made a commitment a number of years ago, Ms. Brister and myself, when the question came up, that when the assessor's records were ready, we wanted to do this. This is something we committed to do. And right now, we didn't push it because the numbers are not at ideal yet, but they are getting there. This is no reflection on the assessor. The job that they're doing to put this online is tremendous. And go ahead, Leslie, and put it up on the screen. This is the assessor's website. Very simply, the staff will go to GIS Parcel Viewer, agree to their terms. We will zoom in this case on Alamosa. Oops, zoom. And when you're doing this on a PC, it's much faster than a laptop. Move into this property in Alamosa, right up the road. Simply what the staff will do, if this piece of property, this large piece of property is under a review, buffer for the mail outs, we do 300 feet. Parcel, and click on that property. And that went much larger. Let's see what it did. I might have hit 3,000 feet.
So it'll give you all the addresses?
It gives you the addresses. You see there where it says print label?
Yeah.
You click it, you do what items you want from the database, you click, it gives us a sheet, we print the sheet on the label sheet, and we're done. So stuff envelopes. So we can do it. Now, the issue is that we were concerned about, and of course now technology is gonna fail. One of the properties immediately adjacent to that piece of property has no records right now. And so that person would not get a notice.
A written notice.
A written notice. What we will do is use this same system, identify the buffer within 100 feet of that property, and we will hang notices when we put the signs up. We'd be hanging notices on those buildings. Obviously, we're gonna establish policies and procedures for if there's a dog on site, if the gate is locked, if in some isolated areas, the staff just is uncomfortable being in that situation. There's something that makes them uncomfortable. They will document why they did not hang it, but we don't want to put our staff in any danger. We do, there are some places in the parish that can get kind of sketchy at times. And so we will do our best in order to do that. I personally have been doing some trial runs with the hangars that I showed you a number of months ago, going out there, trying to identify those types of problems. And so we think we can handle the actual mailings and the door hangers pretty quickly. Our primary concern is the fact that it is not, the coverage is not what we would like it to be. If you look across from Marion on Strain Road, there is no identification of those owners. So we will have to deal with that as the public comes in and say, I didn't get an identification, why is it? From a legal perspective, if you look at item 3 in the ordinance, we have that covered. This is an additional notice that we're doing to the best of our ability based upon the ability to do it quickly. If we had to go to the assessor's office or go to the clerk's office and dig to identify these people, it would be, the job would not be, you would not be able to do it. The developer's attorneys would not be able to do it without expending a large amount of money. So this is something that if the commission and council are comfortable with the coverage that we can get through this system, we can make work. That is our, like I said, that is our primary concern right now, is that if we were at 90, 95, closer to 100%, we would probably be doing it already.
And if I may just add 2 things, Mr. Davis, and hopefully, Mr. Baggett, that answered your question. And basically, the sum of that in part is Mr. Fondo believes, and I agree with him, that better to handle it ourselves. And I don't disagree with that at all, but let me reemphasize too what he pointed out in section 3. We have what we call in our business a savings clause. You ladies and gentlemen are familiar with it too. I believe strongly that savings clause would indicate that nobody can come in and say, well, you didn't put it on my door or something. Because sometimes, having campaigned before, there's a couple of doors that I decided it would be better to be able to walk tomorrow than get bit by the dog. So I didn't put my on that door. So the answer is the savings clause protects us. this is a system that works. It works not everywhere, but it works a lot of other places, and it works there. We've got better staff and better people and a better system than most anybody else. I think it's a good thing. It's a good confidence builder for our community. The more we grow, which we see every day exponentially, the more these zoning cases impact lives and people and other property. So why not err on the side of doing it as much as we can? I would hope that you would, again, be favorable on this ordinance. And then, of course, it will rest us on the council to see if we can get it through.
And I might
I'll
note,
move for approval of the ordinance.
I have a motion to approve the ordinance with all its corrections. Commissioner Richard.
I want to second that, and I certainly appreciate all the effort y'all put into getting this right. This is a much better ordinance than what we originally saw 5 months ago, and I think the public's going to benefit from it, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Todd. Thank you very much. And just for the record, Mr. Fontenot spent a lot of time on this himself, and I do appreciate it, and all the other people who are helping me do appreciate it also.
Thank you. I have a motion to approve by Commissioner Baggert, a second by Commissioner Richard. Any more discussion? Commissioner Loring.
Yes, just a couple of things. On page 1, under 13055, the 5th line down, there's one small typo in there.
Oh, ORT?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. You saw that sit on the 5th line in the posted notice section, ORT.
Okay, and the one question I have, I'd just like to get somebody, preferably somebody that's not an attorney, not that I have anything against attorneys, but somebody that's not an
I don't like them
attorney
either, frankly, you know.
could explain to me exactly what we're talking about with that subparagraph B. What does that say in non-legalese?
I'll let Sid.
that's in our existing ordinance. Let's see. It basically says you don't have any additional posting other than what is in line A. Why it was put in there, you'd have to ask attorneys many years ago.
Are we saying it's superfluous to A?
I wouldn't want to say that without having the legal counsel review.
Could we check it? I mean, to what I'm saying, it's a lot of
What we
nice.
can do is maybe check it and look at the council, when it gets to council level, if it's deemed that it should be removed, consider that.
I think what I'm hearing you say is it might be superfluous, and I understand it depends upon how it's interpreted. It's a good question, and we can cover that by amendment form at the council level if legal counsel suggests that we do so.
I read it 5 times and I don't know what I read.
Well, you know, attorneys like to make it so confusing that nobody knows what it says.
Thank you.
So I've been told. But I understand that did come from your old ordinance, but it's a point well made. And I'm sure Carlin has noted that, and we can maybe talk about that before we bring it up for final passage. Thank you. It's a good observation.
Yes, good,
Mr.
good
Chair.
catch, Buck. Commissioner Randolph.
Okay, Mr. Toledano or Mr. Sidney, the notice requirement, we've lessened that from 15 to 10 days. And I'm trying to get the timelines. The mail requirement is 20 days, if I read it right, 20 days, at least 20 calendar days before the public hearing.
That's correct.
Okay. The little hanger is going to be, what, 10 business days prior to the public meeting. So we're going to know.
10 consecutive days.
10 consecutive days.
Yes, sir.
That's fine. So we're going to be able to identify and address the hanger notice property owners within the 20 days of the regular mail-outs?
Yes.
Because
but
both are prior to the public
Yeah,
hearing.
the timeline will be that we will do the mail-out notice first.
Correct.
So we'll go through the process that I went through while Mr. Toledano was speaking after I had the
Correct.
technical problem. You see the labels up on your screen.
Mm-hmm.
And so we will do that, and that will be sent out probably on the 21st, 20th day. It will be dropped in the mail. So that'll give almost 3 weeks for that mail to be delivered. On the 10th, or at latest, the 10th day, we will have our signs going up just like we do now. At that same time, when the staff puts the sign up, they will go to those properties within 100 feet and hang the door handles at the same time on that 10th day. The change that you see on the first page in A from 15 to 10, if you go back to before we switched to Muni Code, the ordinance was 10 days. For some reason, it was changed to 15. Nobody knows how it happened, when it happened. There was no discussion on it. And so we're bringing that back to make it consistent. Now, what will probably happen is day 14 or 15 is when we try to go out and put up the signs. So we have a padding. If we have, on the 14th day, it's raining, we have time to go out. We don't have to go out in the weather. And so we will, about 2 weeks before, we will venture to get all the signs and the door hangers out so that we make sure we meet the 10-day requirement. Okay. And then just for the public's information, at any time do you see one of those signs disappear, if you contact our office, we will put another sign up. We will make the trip to put another sign up. There have been times when we have put 3 and 4 signs up on a property every other day if we need to in order to try and make notice.
Okay. Do I still have the floor?
German Shepherd too.
Yeah, you still have the floor, Mr. Randall.
I'm understanding that we already have the GIS system, or we're going to share that
No,
system?
well, we have the system, and the input to that system is, percentage-wise, Sydney's right about on the money. I double-checked it. We have 135 parcels, 95 of them have been done, 135,000, 95,000 have been done. Others have been partially done. So in certain areas, we're 100%, in some places not. Now, the ordinance, of course, essentially covers that because even if not available, i.e. the GIS system, we're gonna have to post it. But they're moving along. I checked with Mr. Dugas at the assessor's office today to get the latest numbers, so I know the numbers I'm giving you are accurate at this time.
And actually, if I may, Mr. Chair, if I may.
You have the floor.
The system is being handled by the assessor. It is part of a joint system between multiple levels of agencies, the parish, the cities, the clerk of court, a number of agencies to create a holistic GIS system that is available on their site. And that's the system that I pulled up to show where we have information on each and every parcel. At some point, it'll be every parcel, you'll be able to go in, look up the assessment number, ideally clerk of court records type stuff, you know, the information on the instrument numbers, that type of thing, potentially even zoning classification, all those types of standards. But the beginning of that whole system is a parcel base map, and the assessor has the lead on putting that together with information from all the agencies.
Okay.
Commissioner Randolph, you have the floor now.
With that in mind, and you guys being privy to the system, and we are now implementing this new program, this new process, have anybody looked at additional cost that is going to bear to do this?
We think that the cost will be minimum. The cost will be primarily postage. If it gets to a point where it becomes a problem with the department's budget, I will be contacting Mr. Toledano to discuss fee increases. In the last budget, I don't know how much the commission knows about it. In the last budget cycle, we did increase fees. It had been 14 years since we had any fee increases. Right. For the most part, we had the support of the development community because they realized that our prices hadn't changed in 14 years and our costs definitely had. The council And the administration and council created the department as an enterprise fund, where therefore we do not take subsidies from other departments. We do not give subsidies. Our fund is an independent fund. So I would be very sensitive on anything that takes too much time. If we were going to go sit at the court's office and dig through the records, I would be asking for substantial fee increases in order to cover those costs and additional staff. I think with the simplicity of this, that we can make it work, and if it becomes an issue, we will be proposing that in the next budget for the council.
Good deal. I like the efficiency and the process of really doing, I really like this amendment. Very good document.
Thank you. And thank Mr.
And I
Fonda.
appreciate also the liability coverage, the legal coverage in item 3. It's just that I would like to ask that we capitalize zoning and commission. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Willie.
Yes, Sydney, Mr. Randolph, he talked about some of the things I was going to ask about the cost. But how about personnel costs? You know, you would have to hire more people, or would it take a whole much more cost in that sense?
I think the way we have it organized, I don't think it's going to be a substantial cost, at least at the workload we're doing now. If we had to make an extra trip out into the field, it would be an issue. But because we're going to correspond it with the posting of the signs and hanging the door hangers, and 100 feet in most cases is going to be the next door neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
We're not walking down the block hitting a bunch of houses.
Okay.
And then the postage cost in this case, it would be the postage on, what's that, 14 letters. And so we'll look at it in our budget and
I was thinking
and
more
keep
of
an eye on
personnel
it.
costs, you have to hire 5 or 6 more people.
I don't think we're gonna have to do that. We have
stuff
other,
like that.
we have other issues that we may be looking for additional personnel. I don't think the workload on this is gonna be so substantial that we have to hire additional people.
Okay, and you also mentioned that the assessor's office is working on this as we speak, and you say they up to like 70% now or 80%?
The last time I looked at it, which was about the time that it first came to you, the area covered was about 60%. The parcel numbers was about 70%. It may be more now.
Slightly more than 70%,
I know they've been working on it. I spoke to the assessor about a week and a half ago at the courthouse, ran into him, we talked about the project.
Is there an educated guess when this will be 100%?
Not exactly, but I talked to them about that, and what they're doing right now is they're hiring some extra contractors to speed that process up, Mr. Wood.
So we talking about 6 months, a year? Any clue?
I couldn't get an answer out of it, but in fairness, I
So
understand that.
what I'm leading to is Sidney mentioned he would like to see it at 90%, 95%, and I support this ordinance, but would it be more feasible to go ahead and get it ready, and then when it hits 90%, we click it into gear?
I don't want to say beg you, that probably looks a little too sympathetic, but I implore you not to do that. This system will work. Most of the area not complete is in certain limited sections of this parish. But again, I remind everybody here, because we don't used to this ordinance, there's going to be a posting on the door, so to speak, or the fence line, and the ordinance has a savings clause. So, to wait any more in this, which in my view, ideally, we could have eliminated a lot of problems for ourselves years ago with this, doesn't serve us well. And the assessor is enthusiastic, Mr. Willie, about getting this finished. I met with him literally 2 weeks after I got in office. They talked to me even before about the GIS system from the standpoint of getting the parish to help them, because it costs something to them. We understand it, and we've tried to help them wherever we can. But to delay it does not serve anybody's interest. I would hope that you would consider not doing that, but I appreciate your comment. I just respectfully disagree.
I guess, Sidney, what was your reason to prefer 90% instead of where we at now?
I think we've all been in this room enough when people don't get noticed and their neighbors get noticed, that there's a certain level of, say, negativity. And, you know, that's the issue, is that we're
So,
gonna,
okay, so
yeah,
that's
I
not
mean,
a real
and I
main
think as long
reason
as,
why.
and that's why I took the time to pull this up and show what's happening.
Okay.
As long as everybody understands that we will not get 100% coverage, we will not get 90% coverage at this time. Some subdivisions, we will get full coverage.
Mm-hmm.
There are others we will get none. As long as everybody understands that and we can explain that, you know, I think we can make the system work.
You know, from that point of view, I really like the ordinance now, the way it was rewritten and everything. You and Sydney did a great job on this, and I think it's gonna be a wonderful tool for the public to learn about the process and how everything works. And I really, I think it's simply written, simply to understand, and I just agree with the rest of the commission about making a motion to approve this.
Thank you very much.
Do we have any other discussion? If not, we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Baggert and a second by Commissioner Richard. Please vote.
How long did it take you to get this ordinance thing? How long ago you started on it?
Well, I started in my own head, sitting down with Mr. Hand probably last summer. And then we had something on the board in rough draft in September, and we started working through it, started working with Sydney, and it's been a process. Government has never been accused of moving too fast.
And Commissioner Doherty, do you vote a motion to approve too?
Considered.
Okay.
Yeah, considered judgments.
Martha?
Thank you all again for your time tonight. I'll try not to have to come back on this one again.
Okay,
Motion is approved.
motion approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
9-0.
Have a great evening.
You too. Okay. Number 7, 2018-1304 ZC, it's a text change, an ordinance to amend St. Tammany Parish Unified Development Code, Chapter 130, Section 130-5, definitions to add continuing care retirement community, CCRC, and to amend Chapter 130, Section 130-1159, relative to permitted uses in the MD1 Medical Residential District, to add a new use as follows. 5, continuing care retirement community, CCRC. Staff, any comments? Sydney?
If any of you have been to some of the quote-unquote retirement communities in the parish, they are much more than a nursing home or assisted living. They're really becoming a much bigger project. And while the vast majority of them can probably be classified what they want to do under existing nursing home or any combination of uses, we had some discussions with one in particular facility that said they were concerned with running afoul of us with something that's probably relatively minor in their business model. And so we decided to work together to create a facility that covered the full continuum of life within, that they're serving. And that's essentially what you have here, where it covers not only independent living, assisted living, nursing homes, memory care, skilled nursing, additional retail daycare, just for employees, medical uses, a doctor's office within a facility, a whole bunch of uses, restaurants that, while not advertised in general, can serve the general public, can go for those restaurants, that type of thing, where you start having more interaction with the residents as opposed to them kind of being isolated within a facility. And so that's in a summary. If you'd like to talk any details, we'd be happy to discuss them.
You're making your money today.
They want that clear. Clear it? You want it clear?
To clear all this. We already voted.
That was from the last case?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, done. Slide, next slide.
1304, at the bottom.
Okay. Do we have any discussion from the, oh, okay. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Do we have any discussion from the audience about, in favor of this ordinance? Mr. Shane?
Yes, sir. Good evening. Jeff Shane with the Jones Fussell Law Firm at P.O. Box 1810 in Covington. I appreciate the opportunity to speak for just a minute. I represent the Christwood Retirement Community in Covington, and we probably started these discussions with staff in excess of a year ago in wanting to develop a comprehensive definition for a CCRC, not only for the benefit of Christwood, but really for the protection of the industry. I think most of us believe and recognize that the development of retirement opportunities in our parish is also a great economic opportunity for this parish. It has allowed many of our loved ones to stay close to us. It's allowed many people to have better care than they would have probably received otherwise in other venues. And for those of us that have traveled and visited many of the fine facilities that we have throughout the parish, we know that it's much more than just a residential component. There are many support services that are provided within the confines of these communities. So I wanted to take a moment to thank, in particular, Mr. Fontenot, the staff in general, but really the view of the administration of the parish in supporting not only Christwood's request, but the need to have a very clear definition for a CCRC and to encourage the development of facilities to take care of those that reach the elder years. And I think that's what this definition and legislation does. So I appreciate the opportunity to make those comments.
Thank you. Anybody else in the audience want to speak in favor? Anybody want to speak against? If not, I'll bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Casabon.
Yes, would this encompass, I remember, I don't know if it's considered a retirement home, but the homes, I just remember the one in Walheim where they wanted to open the little restaurant to help the people work there and earn a living. So does this kind of encompass that also? Even though, or is it specifically worded for nursing homes?
I'm trying to remember the actual business model of that. It's something very similar. It wasn't a retirement home, so
No,
it wouldn't, this one is limited to persons age 55 and older, as per the Fair Housing Act definitions of retirement facilities.
To be able to do this.
So, yeah, it wouldn't be a direct,
Right. To affect it. I think it's a great concept, and I think it's something that's needed to be clarified. I'll make a motion to approve.
All right, I have a motion to approve by Commissioner Casabon. Do we have a second? Commissioner Lauren.
Yes, I'll second it, but I have one question. Sydney, I'm familiar with Christwood. My sister-in-law lives there, and she's gone through the different stages. There's one sentence in this definition that confuses me a little bit. Under the amendment, or this section 130-5, about the third line up from the part that starts, any accessory uses will be interior to the primary building and not a separate building. Well, they've got the main building, and then they built the atrium, and then they built the memory care center, and then they've got the community center, community activity center, that's got the swimming pool and the health club type facilities in it. What I'm saying is that it's not all in one building.
It's not all in one building, but if I remember the layout properly, the atrium building has the restaurant in the middle, and it has residences around. So it is a residential with the atrium as part of that building. It's not saying it has to be one building. The pool and those facilities are all linked in to
They're
physical
not linked
therapy.
together.
They're on the same campus.
And the idea was that you would not have a freestanding office building for the doctor. The doctor has an office that's in that treatment facility.
Right,
So you
they
wouldn't
do
have a
that.
freestanding restaurant coming there. What we wanted to do is make sure we didn't overly commercialize it, that we allowed the functions, but it did not become a freestanding, I don't want to name a name of a restaurant, but you know, a
Jeff, would you
freestanding
add?
restaurant.
I agree with Mr. Fontenot's explanation. I guess, though, to help out a little more, if we're using Christwood as the example, for example, in the club area, I mean, you have a workout facility, a swimming pool, a coffee shop, you have conference rooms. So the idea is that we did not want to encourage these facilities, say, on their perimeter, to build a freestanding coffee house or restaurant.
Okay.
Which would appear to be a going commercial concern.
Yeah.
It's understood that maybe a cafe has a place in a retirement community and that it will be a component of one of these critical facilities, just like there would be a physical rehabilitation or physical therapy area that, again, would not be a freestanding, if you will, PT center, but would be a component or part of what I guess we'll call an integrated system. So that's why the word accessory, meaning that these services and uses are complementary to the traditional retirement community setting and do not take a view of being primary in terms of being commercial or freestanding.
Jeff, I guess I'm just looking at the verbiage that's used and the way it's written. To me, it doesn't, that part's not clear. That one sentence is not clear. Your explanation is clear, but that one sentence, to me, that says it all has to be in one building.
No, it says primary buildings.
Pardon?
It says primary buildings.
If you're
It's
concentrating
plural.
on the sentence, I think you are, it says that the emphasis there is that it is not in a separate building. Is that the line that you're reading?
Yeah, any accessory uses
Yeah,
will be
what
interior to the primary
I'm saying is, the way
buildings.
they've got it, I think works beautifully well.
Right.
And, you know,
But I don't think any of the accessory buildings are isolated in a separate building by themselves.
I think you can walk from
Again-
building to building indoors, can't you? Can't you walk through the whole facility inside? I thought so.
Yeah. Through the connector.
Pardon?
You can go from building to building inside.
No. No. No, there's no interconnection, I don't believe, to the community center.
May not be covered, that's correct. But the community center in and of itself has multiple components within it. So the purpose of that sentence,
As long as we're saying is that it's encompassed within the community.
that
Yeah.
is absolutely.
If that's what we're saying,
What we don't want is a franchise restaurant maybe to come in.
like a PJ's or somebody.
And then
or
you have
Well,
the
no,
Starbucks
exterior.
or somebody.
I
Well, it
wouldn't
can
have an
come
issue
in,
with the
but it
PJs
needs-
coming in, but the exterior signage and franchise identifications on the exterior of the building saying, this is a PJ's. That's what we don't want.
Okay.
If it's something inside that
cannot.
they just happen to contract with PJ's.
I just want to make sure I understood, because I protect her very much.
Sure, and we appreciate that protection.
Commissioner Randolph, you have the floor.
I really like the ordinance, very well written. On amend section 130-5, fifth line down, it says the residential units are. And also, if you come down about 6 more lines, well, 7 more lines, It says access to these accessory uses and services by non-residents, members, employees, and visitors is. I don't think we're trying to make this Christwood specific, so shouldn't we say the residential units shall or will be, since we may have some more of these in the parish to go up, because the R and the is tells me it's there already. You understanding what I'm saying? If we want to make this general to anybody else who would like to construct, develop another one of these community retirement care centers. Do y'all see what I'm talking about? You know? Okay. Yeah, the fifth line down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it says the residential units are. Shouldn't we say shall or will?
And I'm fine, I don't see any, I understand your concern, and if somebody comes in, a different interpreter of the ordinance comes in, they could say it has to be something that's built, and so I don't have an issue with the amendment that would make that change.
I think we're getting a little help from our school board. I think that's
Well,
probably
it's
best.
just that in other areas,
no, I think it's a
areas of the ordinance, we
it's a
have
better-
shall
it's
and
a
we
better
have
verb.
will.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just saying, that's
No,
all.
I'm being complimentary. I think it's an improvement. It's more consistent with the language that we use in other sections of the ordinance. So in line 5, we change the word are to shall be. Is that what you're suggesting?
Yes, sir.
And there was one other maybe?
Right after visitors, under the CCRC, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 line from the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Is, and visitors shall be permitted.
Agreed? Good catch.
Yeah, Jeff and I went through this like 4 times, and so we caught something we missed.
It's always good to have another set of 8 eyes.
Absolutely.
It's always good to have another set of 8 eyes. Well, maybe 1, 2, 3, 24 eyes. So.
Okay?
I'm good.
Okay, I have one other point
I think,
while you're up here, sorry.
I think just procedurally, you need to accept the amendment,
What
the person who
Yeah.
made the motion.
Yes, Martha, do you accept the amended with adding the shall be instead of are for the residential units on line 5? And further down where it says visitors, it's gonna, instead of is, it'll also be shall be for both of those. Okay. Do I have a second on that one? No. Okay. But I still have a question. On the 5th or 6th line, when you talk about 55 and older as defined by the Fair Housing Act as amended, and those persons with disabilities as defined, those persons with disabilities have to be the same age? Is it 55 or can they be younger?
Can be younger.
Okay,
That's my appreciation.
I just didn't know if that's what
I don't
if
say
you were
that
looking for.
authoritatively, but it's my appreciation that they do not need to
Okay,
be
all right.
threshold. But again, I'm not authoritative there. I would defer to anybody in the room that might have that expertise.
Yeah, I just didn't know whether or not that was defined for just 55 and older, or, you know, if the disability, a 40-year-old can't go in there. You know, I'm just trying to make sure that's correct. Okay. All right, with that being said, we have a motion by Commissioner Casabon to approve with the amended shall be's in the areas we described, and a seconded by Commissioner Lauren. Any more discussion?
Mr. Baggett, Mr. Warren.
If not, please vote.
Mr.
Casabon, Lauren.
Baggett.
Commissioner Baggett.
9-0, motion is approved as amended.
Thank you. Okay. Now, it looks like that's the end of our agenda. We have any old business? Any new business? Anybody would like to make a motion to adjourn? Have a motion to adjourn and a second.